Hello guys, so recently Travis Scott just released his new music video for Sicko Mode, and yeah, it's probably the best music video I've ever seen in my life. It's just effects from the start to the end, and they're all just outrageous. Today I'm going to show you how to do one of the effects that comes up a lot during the music video. So this is the type of effect I'm talking about.
Was till I land, had me out like a light, hey, like a light.
Yeah, so this effect is fairly easy to do, but it just takes a lot of time rendering out things and stuff like that. You can just follow along step by step, you'll be able to do it no problem.
She gon' let that shit bang for me, yeah. She gon' let that shit bang for me, yeah. She gon' let that shit bang.
So just a bit about my workflow. I generally put all my clips into Premiere Pro and then I edit them in After Effects using the dynamic link. I'm going to show you how I do that as well. If you want to learn how to do this effect, make sure you stay around, and yeah, let's get into it. Right, so now that we're in Premiere Pro, we're just going to want to bring in two clips into our footage bin over here. So the first clip that I've brought in is the one where I'm going to put my subject, and the next clip is just a clip of my subject relatively still. So I'm just going to name them as scene and this one as subject. I'm just going to drag and drop both of these clips in, and I'm going to keep existing settings. For my scene, it zooms in like that, so I'm just going to press Control or and reverse. So that means we're just zooming into the shot. And then for my subject, this was filmed in 4K, so I just need to scale it out a bit because it's on a 1080p timeline. Also, I'm going to come over to the color, and I'm just going to bring up the brightness and the contrast. Okay, so that's perfect. Alright, so now after we have that done, we're just going to right click, and I'm going to nest each of these clips individually. So I'm going to nest that, and I'm going to nest this. Perfect. Alright, so now we're going to highlight both of them, right click, and we're going to replace with an After Effects composition. So that's how you use the dynamic link in After Effects and Premiere Pro. So now it's going to open up in Premiere Pro, and I'm just going to have to name a folder. I'm going to name this tutorial. Perfect. So my two clips should come in exactly how they were in Premiere Pro, so one after another. The first thing we're going to do is come to our second clip, and we're just going to bring that down in line with our timeline, and we're just going to trim that so they're both the same length. And we're going to click again, so it should say layer up here. So we're going to click the roto brush tool, which is this tool. You can click Alt W if you'd like. So we're going to click that, and now we're just going to do a rough outline of our subject. Also note that, see here where it says full, you're going to want to render this in full resolution because it gives the roto brush the best image to go around. So we're just going to go and do a rough outline of our subject. Earlier on, I bumped up the contrast and made the colors pop out a bit more just for this reason. So I knew that some of the areas would have a bit of trouble being separated from the background. So the roto brush tool helps you just mask out your subject basically. So obviously there's going to be some points that I won't be able to catch up on. To fix this, we're just going to press Alt, and we're just going to come back in and take that away. So this can be a bit time consuming, but it's worth it, because if we didn't do it this way, we'd have to mask out every single frame ourselves, and the roto brush kind of just eliminates that process. I think that's looking pretty good. So once you have a rough sketch of your outline, we're just gonna come up here, and we're gonna, over the roto brush tool, we're gonna press Alt and click again. So we have the refine edge tool, and now we're just going to go over the areas such as his hair and other areas that might have a bit of trouble being picked up by the roto brush tool. So okay, so now we're going to come over here, and we're going to drag out our clip to full length. Now we're just going to come along with this scrubbing tool and just place it. I do it usually in quarters, and you'll see a little bar here start to render out our rotoscope. So when this is finished, I'll come back and I'll talk you through the next step. Right, so after you've fully rotoscoped out your subject, now we just need to come back to our composition, and you can see that the subject is overlaying our scene. So if you're following along, your scene might have been like that, so just drag the layer to the top. So now all we have to do is we're gonna hide this layer and we're gonna come to our scene here. So now we're gonna come over here, see where it says track camera. We're just gonna click that and let this just track the camera. This might take a few minutes as well. Yeah, I'll come back when it's all tracked out. The camera will come back with all these tracking points that we can use as a reference. Now I'm just going to pick the area where I want my subject to be. So that's good for me. So I'm gonna click there, I'm gonna right click and I'm going to create a solid and camera. See, when we move, the solid moves with us. So we're going to click the solid layer, we're gonna right click and we're gonna pre-compose. So now we just press OK, double click. And in this solid layer, we're just going to delete this. So now we can come up here to our composition settings, and we can just change it to 1920 by 1080. Press OK. So now we have this empty layer. We need to put this layer as the tracking layer. So all we have to do is come into track solid. Up here in the project, we just find our clip that's been rotoscoped out for us, and we can just drag and drop that in. So we can actually delete this layer now. All we have to do is press S and we can scale this down so he's on the coin. Right, so now our clip is fully done and motion tracked, so we can just press Ctrl S. Right, so when you open back up Premiere Pro, your effect should be fully rendered, and yeah, you can just add it to clips. So here's how the clip turned out.
Was till I land, had me out like a light, ayy, like a light, ayy, like a light, ayy. Slept through the flight, ayy, not for the night, ayy. 767 minutes.
Right, so that was the finished effect. I hope you enjoyed. It took around 2 hours to do that fully, but yeah, it's very time consuming and it's a bit of a pain in the arse. But if it's something that you want to pull off, follow along step by step and I'm sure you'll be able to do it. Yeah, so if there's anything else you'd like to see on the channel, please let me know. That's really it. So if you could like, comment and subscribe, that would be great for the growth of the channel, and thanks for watching.